All right, welcome. Welcome to you all. We're on our day two YouTube Live, and I like the venue so far. I do like the idea of having these shows stored so that you can share them with others. Again, if you found us, hopefully, through our website at thenutritionshop.net, you'll find this is show number two that'll be stored in those archives. Now, what we're going to talk about today is to try to answer once and for all a very controversial question. What is the best time of the day to exercise? And what is the best time of the day to eat? You know, if you look at the records, us here in the United States, what do you think the typical time is for exercise? Early evening, I would think, usually, or if you're a busy mom, maybe late afternoon when I get a break in the action, maybe right before the kids come home from school. And as far as what's the best time to eat, what do you think? Is the European method of eating a big lunch the best way to go? Is it important to eat breakfast? Is it like the American way to eat that big meal at night? Now, in the near future, I'm going to do another show on intermittent fasting. I'm now at the tail end of week 3 of a 21-day fasting period. Do it in conjunction from a spiritual perspective with the people at our church. We're eating one meal a day. So we're fasting basically 24 hours. Ate dinner last night around 6:30, and I will eat dinner again tonight around 6:30. And I'll continue up till and including this Saturday. And it really has changed things as far as the thought process of it's lunchtime. Because right now it's lunchtime and I'm not hungry. I've gotten out of that mode of thinking, what am I going to do at lunch? So many of us, either we bring something or we snacked on something, or we start work at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing around 9:30, I'm thinking about what am I going to do for lunch today? Am I going to go out? Am I going to go to Panera's? Am I going to go to Starbucks? Am I going to go to McDonald's? Or maybe there's a cafeteria at work and you can smell it. What's the best time? Because what's the goal? The goal is, since about 80% of us are overweight, and about 50% of us now, 1 in 2, are now approaching obesity. And it's estimated that 55% of our population right now is either diabetic or pre-diabetic. What do you do? University of Bath, as in taking a bath, took a look at that, and they published this in a journal, one you would probably never read, called the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. This is where endocrinologists, those that deal with blood sugar, those that deal with thyroid, those that deal with metabolism, it's where they go for their research, their Bible, their ability to read what's new and exciting. It's a 6-week study which involved 30 men classified as obese or overweight and compared the results for 2 intervention groups. Those that ate breakfast before, those that ate breakfast after exercise, and the control group who made no lifestyle changes. They just went about their way. And they found that people who performed exercise before breakfast burned double, listen to what I said, burned double the amount of fat than the group who exercised after breakfast. According to this new study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, health scientists at the University of Bath and Birmingham found that by changing the timing of when you eat and exercise, people can better control their blood sugar levels and thus lose weight. I've, over the years, talked to many people that have been highly successful going to the gym on a regular basis, and it used to always amaze me. Like this past summer, I'd get up early on a morning because I like to go to work early. I like my quiet time. My wife and I usually put together 6:30 to 7 o'clock every morning to read scripture, study and pray, get yourself ready for the day. And I would then have to get up at 5:15. We have 4 little dogs, and take them out for a walk. And it astounded me because it's dark out, and inevitably there was this one fella in our neighborhood, 5:30 every morning, was out running. And on those warm summer days, he didn't have a shirt on. He had his shorts going. This guy was like in amazing shape. Tell me that thought hasn't gotten into your head. Boy, I wish I could do that. Wish I had the ability to get up that early. Because obviously this is a young fellow, probably in his 30s, that was going to be going to work later. But he managed to get out of bed a little bit earlier and managed to get himself on a regimen of exercise before he ate his breakfast. They found that increased fat use was mainly due to lower insulin levels during exercise when people have fasted overnight, which means they can use more of the fat from their fat tissues and the fat within their muscles as fuel. Hear what I'm saying? This is an actual article that's going to endocrinologists saying it's a fat burner. Didn't come in a pill. It's a fat burner. But in order to burn the fat, you had to lower the insulin. If you've heard me talk before, you know that I've had this big fear of diabetes. It's in my family, all around me. And with the dawn over the last 5, 6, 7 years of the capability of blood work that could test insulin levels, yet I find very few doctors actually do this. We do it here, by the way. Unless you know what your fasting insulin levels are, I doubt that you can actually lose weight. Because if your past history of eating and exercising didn't include good eating or good exercise, you probably have built up a level of insulin resistance, which means your body has to make more and more and more to get the job done. So unless you improve that, your body's going to still be in that storage mode. I can't tell you how many times people have come in here that said, I came in and bought your Lean Choice pill, and I've taken it for 30 days, and I lost 11 pounds immediately, and then I went out to eat with my husband the other night, and I put 11 pounds right back on. And I said simply, did you eat 11 pounds of food? It's the only way you can gain weight is eating. And if the body is storing, it doesn't come out of the air. Your body just doesn't all of a sudden blow up with weight if you're not eating. So there's no way to gain 11 pounds unless you ate 11 pounds of food. So they found that the increased fat use is mainly due to lower insulin levels during exercise when people have fasted overnight. See what I'm doing right now? Intermittent fasting. I am doing intermittent fasting. I'm fasting 24 hours. In this study, they fasted 12. So if you could take a 21-day period, 3 weeks, and blow away breakfast, blow away lunch, and get your focus off of food, and get yourself up doing something before that time of breakfast. That way, if you don't have to think about food, can you get up an hour earlier? Can you go for a walk around the block while it's still dark out? Can you throw some sweats on and go do that? Come back, shower, and get to work on time? My wife gets up at 4:30 right now to get herself ready for work. I doubt I'm not going to get her up at 3:30. But can you do that? To test the proof of principle, the initial study involved only men. Why? Ladies, answer the question, why? Why did we choose only men? Because it's easier Unfortunately, there's other issues involved in the female anatomy. Fat level's a little bit higher, but you got your hormones going on too. Building on emerging evidence that the timing of meals in relationship to exercise can shift how effective exercise is. The team behind this study wanted to focus on the impact on fat stores in muscle for individuals who either worked out before or after eating and the effect this had on insulin response to feeding. Dr. Javier Gonzalez of the Department of Health at the University of Bath said this, quote, "Our results suggest that changing the timing of when you eat in relationship to when you exercise can bring around profound and positive changes to your overall health," end quote. He also goes on to say, "We found that the men in the study who exercised before breakfast burned double the amount of fat than the group who exercised after. Importantly, while this didn't have any effect on weight loss, it did dramatically improve their overall health." 21 days into this, I'm not going on a scale, but if I got on a scale, I'm probably the same weight as when I started. But I can feel the difference. In 21 days, I went another notch up on my belt, and my clothes fit better. The group who exercised before breakfast increased their ability to respond to insulin, which is all the more remarkable given that both exercise groups lost a similar amount of weight and both gained a similar amount of fitness. The only difference was the timing of the food intake. Over the 6-week trial, the scientists found that muscles from the group who exercised before breakfast were more responsive to insulin compared to the group who exercised after breakfast, in spite of identical training sessions and matched food intake. The muscles from those who exercised before breakfast also showed greater increases in key proteins, specifically those involved in transporting glucose from the bloodstream to the muscles to be burned. And if we burn it efficiently, it won't be put into storage. For the insulin response to feeding after the 6-week study, remarkably, the group who exercised after breakfast were in fact no better than the control group who did nothing. Do you hear what I just said? Those that exercised after breakfast fared no better in fat burning and utilization of insulin than those that did nothing. Co-author Dr. Gareth Wallace at the University of Birmingham added, "This work suggests that performing exercise in the overnight fasted state can increase the health benefits of exercise for individuals without changing the intensity, duration, or perception of their effort. We now need to explore the longer-term effects of this type of exercise and whether women will benefit the same way as men." University of Bath, lipid metabolism links nutrient exercise timing to insulin sensitivity in men classified as overweight or obese. Attached to this are some other studies, as I've said before. Study number 1, November 28th, 2017, is breakfast really the most important meal of the day? It says regularly eating breakfast affects our body's fat cells by decreasing the activity of genes involved in fat metabolism and increasing how much sugar they take up, according to new research. The answer to that question is yes, it's the most important meal of the day. Then why, Len, on your 21-day fast, are you skipping it? Works better that way. I'm not going to do it now and forever. I'm doing it for 21 days. Excuse me. June 14th, 2014, major study heralds new era in the treatment of type 2 diabetes. Again, looking at timing of meals. Now, in that study, they used the 8-hour rule. Can you fast 16 and eat over an 8-hour period? Story number 3, simple steps to protect people with type 1 diabetes against heart disease. 1 additional injection of insulin 3 hours after eating has been shown to protect people with type 1 diabetes. These are diabetics that cannot make any insulin. We're not talking about that in this study. We're talking about those that still can. So what's our takeaway message? You need to know what your insulin levels are. your fasting insulin levels are. If you don't know, you're going to fight this thing. Now, still having my coffee, still keeping that in place. Now, just a couple closing comments here. Things that are in the news that I think is important. Do you see what's going on in China now with the coronavirus? You know, we've been through the SARS, S-A-R-S, a couple years ago. Went through Ebola a couple years ago. And I'm sure now somebody's working on a coronavirus vaccine, I'm sure. Is it something that you need to be concerned about? I would be. So what's the takeaway message? Protect yourself. Protect yourself. Because medicine is only reactive when it comes to this. Avoid exposure, naturally. Wash your hands well, naturally. Watch who you're around, naturally. But take enough of the right supplements to protect yourself. Buffered vitamin C, 2 to 4 to 6 grams a day, somewhere in there, depending on body size. Our ultra probiotic, morning and evening. 5,000 to 10,000 IUs of vitamin D. Put up a defensive shield. Some of the other things that are in the news, unnecessary pelvic exams, Pap tests, common among young women. Young women in the U.S. commonly receive pelvic exams and Pap tests, despite guidelines recommending against their use. Remember, in today's world, with the insurance companies doing what they're doing everything in their power to dissuade you from doing diagnostic testing. So again, we're throwing it back to you. You need to take care of yourself. Also in the news, opioid misuse among teens tied to a wider range of risky behaviors. Teens who misuse prescription opioids are more likely to engage in over 20 other harmful behaviors, according to a cross-sectional study in the Journal of Pediatrics. Researchers examined data on nearly 15,000 high schoolers who completed the CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Survey. Some 14% of our kids reported misusing prescription drugs. Talked to a family today where the boyfriend of one of their daughters was just arrested for selling Xanax. And they found out he was addicted to it. So I asked the obvious question, where's he getting it? Kids are stealing it from their parents. 14% reported misusing prescription opioids. That's admitting. After adjustment for age, sex, race, ethnicity, teens who reported opioid misuse were significantly more likely to engage in 22 risky behaviors studied, compared with those who did not misuse opioids. For example, they are more likely to drive under the influence, text while driving, have intercourse before age 13, carry weapons, take part in physical fights, attempt suicide. The researchers write, when physicians and other providers identify youth misusing prescription opioids, they should have the heightened awareness that associated risky behaviors and potential opportunities for education and prevention. Lastly, for today, frailty index based on lab values may help identify at-risk seniors. A frailty measure uses results of common lab tests to identify hospitalized seniors who are at risk for poor outcomes. Nearly 1,600 elders at a UK hospital underwent 2 frailty measures during admissions. Commonly used clinical frailty scale, using a newer laboratory frailty index that assessed status up to 27 lab tests commonly performed. Both frailty measures were independently associated with increased risk of adverse outcomes, including more inpatient days, discharged higher levels of care, and it goes on and on to basically say, if you're not getting your daily let's say every 6 months if you're over the age of 60, your physicals, by all means you should. All right, so what did we learn today? You need to have your insulin levels checked. You need to put together a plan to exercise properly, and if all possible, before breakfast. We need to realize breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We also need to recognize the fact that you put all this together, your body will begin to fight the war against fat. Tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about human longevity. Everybody likes that idea, right? I don't know, the Lord has how many days I'm going to be here on the earth, but I want him to be healthy. So how do you deal with longevity? That'll be the topic for tomorrow's show. To reach me here in the office, any of our staff, the number here is 678-228-8900, 678-228-8900. Lots of good stuff on our website, including our upcoming seminar, our Health Summit 2020, which is going to be on April 25th. Full details will be coming to our website. There's a little tease on our website right now. Big day, talking about health, coming soon. We'll have all the details coming up. Just circle that date on your calendar, April 25th. It's not that far away. Any questions, comments? You want to set up your own personal consulting time? Give us a call at 678-228-8900. Our website, the Nutrition Shop, SHOPPE.net. God bless you, folks, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care.